what's going on, guys? Dale Valor here with another MVD exclusive video. So check this out, man. Here's the deal. I see so many guys that complain about women being crazy, right? Like they're just out of their minds and things like that. Now, I do tend to think that that boils down to a couple of different things. The way that you screen, willing to just take anything, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But the thing is, man, you really, especially, man, this seems to be a trap that a lot of young dudes fall into. If you're a younger guy, do not fall into the trap of linking up with women who are just out of their mind. Now, am I saying that all women are crazy? No, that's very much not the case, all right? But there are enough crazy individuals out there that's going to jeopardize, could jeopardize your life, could jeopardize your freedom, your safety, any number of your job, any number of things, right? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to break down a few different times that I've had to deal with women that were unstable. And what I'm going to do is once I finish these stories, I'm going to wrap it all up and break down why you shouldn't deal with it and how you can get around it, okay? So, we're going to get into it right now. Let's get it. Number one, the girl that faked her own death. Okay, so follow me on this, man. I was seeing this girl that I had met. We probably hung out a half dozen times over the course of a month and a half, 2 months. We just weren't seeing eye to eye on things, and I really didn't want to take it any further than where we were at that point in time, and she kind of did, and we just, there was just some things, some red flags there that I was seeing, and just stuff I really didn't want to be a part of. So we end up going our separate ways, and every month, every other month, something like that, I would just get a text message from her out of the blue. They would be like, hey, how are you? Like, I'm just being cordial. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I hope you're doing well. And she was kind of having a lot of life circumstance problems, employment, lack of money, things like that. She was always the type of person that would try to guilt you into things, okay? So as soon as I would tell her that, everything's good, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, she would respond back with, oh, I'm glad your life is so great. Mine's terrible, LOL. And then, obviously wanting me to be like, what's wrong? And then break it down for me and, hope that I would come along and help fix her issues, which I wasn't willing to do, okay? So what ended up happening was, so probably about 6 months had went by, something like that. And I get a text out of the blue. All right, and I hadn't heard from her or anything like that, and it was like, is this Dale? And I text her back, hey, you, what's going on? I get a text back saying something along the lines of, oh, this is her mom. She passed away, unfortunately, last night and left a note that wanted to, get in touch with you and let her know how much that she loved you and appreciated you and wished that things could have worked out and this, that, and the other. Now, I'm seeing right through this, okay? Because this sounds exactly like something that she would do. So I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. What happened? And she goes on to tell me that her daughter had gotten a cancer diagnosis and only had X amount of time to live, didn't want to be a burden to anybody, so she took her own life. And I was like, well, hey, where can I send some flowers? And the response back was, oh, she specifically said that she didn't want any flowers sent or any type of things like that. And now I'm like, okay. But on the off chance that I was wrong, I'm still trying to not, say that I know this is fake and blah, blah, blah. So what happened was she tells me, now, side note here, she was always trying to find out where I lived. And I'm not big on girls knowing where I live until I really, really, really know them well and can trust them, okay? Once that trust is established, okay, it's fine. But random girls, I'm not comfortable with them knowing where I live. So she was always trying to find that out. Okay, fine. So she asked me, well, what's your address? And I'll send the letter that she left for you. And I was just like, okay, here we go. So what I tell her is, now, mind you, I'm talking to another girl that I'm kicking it with at the same time. Okay, she's right there with me as I'm getting these text messages. I'm like, you're not gonna believe this, So she's like, give her my address and see what happens. So I'm like, all right, fair enough. So I give her homegirl's address. Lo and behold, I don't know, a day goes by, something like that. This girl shows up at the girl that I'm kicking it with's house asking for me. Now I get a text saying, why did you give me a fake address? And I'm like, oh, well, look who's back from the dead. Will wonders never cease? Like, come on. I'm like, why did you have to fake all that? And that just confirmed to me the fact that I had no business kicking it with her anymore. For sure. Like, that just put a nail in that coffin. All right, we're going to get number 2. Let's go. Number 2, the drug dealer. All right, so here's the deal. I meet this girl. We make plans to hang out for later. And as it turned out, she didn't have a vehicle, is what she had told me. And it was pretty convenient to go get her. She only lived like a couple of miles away from where I was staying at the time. The whole plan was super innocuous, very innocent. We were gonna get to know each other over a couple of milkshakes at a diner that was close to us. I go and I scoop her up and, whatever, we're having good conversation. We go to the diner and everything. And what had happened was, we're finishing up, but the conversation was so engaging and it was such a good conversation. She was like, hey, listen, there's a park that's right down the street from here. And I knew what she was talking about. And she was like, let's go to this park and, let's just hang out there and continue to talk. Now, in my mind, I was driving a van at the time. And where my mind was going was, okay, we're going to go to the park and knock it out, whether it's outside or in the van or whatever else. So I'm heading down to the park with her. Now, this particular park, it has a driveway in it that goes about a mile back or so. And, you're way off the main road, and that's where we were going. So we go down there, and we're talking and things, and I start seeing some headlights coming down the one road. Now, there's only one road in and one road out. And so I'm seeing these headlights coming down, and I was like, now, wouldn't that be something if it was the cops? Because it was late at night. We were way past park hours. We were technically loitering, I guess. And anyway, so here come these headlights, and I'm joking around about it being the cops. As the headlights get closer, you know how you can kind of tell at night what a cop's headlights look like. And I was like, wouldn't you know it, it is actually the cops. And I'm just like, man, they're going to kick us out of here. Or hopefully don't give us a ticket or something like that. Well, she gets all like frantic. And she's like, okay, listen, I've got to tell you something really quick. And I'm like, what's up? And she's like, I just got out of prison a week ago. And I was locked up for distribution of heroin. And I'm on parole. And so if the cops ask you if I have anything, please tell them that I don't. And I was just like, what? Like it, it threw me for a loop because I didn't know any of that information until she just told me. And I was like, do you have anything on you? And she's like, no, I don't, I swear. I was like, look, if you have something on you and you don't tell me right now, there's going to be huge problems here, okay? And so you need to tell me. And if you do have anything on you, do not drop it in my vehicle. And she's like, I don't have anything. I promise I don't. I'm like, all right, cool. So the cop walks up to the window, asks for our IDs and everything. And as soon as he saw her ID, he looked at her, looked back at the ID, looked at her, and he was like, all right, I'm going to need you guys to step out of the vehicle. So we get out of the vehicle, and next thing you know, another cop car shows up. Another cop car shows up. Another cop car shows up. Now, this girl apparently was pretty notorious in the town that I was in. And they called in all these cops. They all knew who she was and all this and that. And they got me sitting in the back of the cop car, rifling off a bunch of questions, kind of interrogating me a little bit. How do you know her? What's her full name? All this and that. And I was just like, look, guys, you know, I understand what you're doing, but understand this. I just met her like an hour ago. I don't know her last name. I don't know any of the stuff that you're talking about. I don't even really know what all this is about. And so as all that's going on, another cop car shows up, and it's a female officer, and she's giving her the full pat down, being pretty invasive about her search and all that kind of thing. And anyway, one of the cops asked me, can we search her van? And I knew there was nothing in there, and I knew if I said no, they were going to get a warrant pretty quickly based on who they're dealing with here. So I was like, told them, go on ahead, search it. So they go ahead and search it, and they don't find anything. Eventually, they just end up letting us go. But, you know, obviously now I know what she's all about, and I know the red flags going on at this point in time. And one of the officers pulled me off to the side, and he was like, hey, man, you need to choose your friends better. And I was like, man, I don't even know her. You know, so that was that. And, you know, the funny thing, too, is as we were leaving, it was like a caravan. There's all these cop cars, and then I'm last. Eventually, I ended up taking her home, and that was that. But that was another circumstance in which somebody was unstable that I was spending time with. All right. Okay, we're going to get to number 3. Let's get it. Number 3, cocaine. Okay, so one time, this girl that I had met, we had went out a few different times, and she was kind of a colorful character in the sense of a lot of life to her. She was cool. I did see some red flags there, but let's say yellow flags, okay? Nothing that really jumped out to me that said, you know, hands off, like that, you know, let's cut bait here. Nothing jumped out to me in that regard. So about the 4th or 5th time we had hung out, she had suggested going to this house party. Now, this particular house where this party was going to be is in a college town. And so my mind was like, okay, it's probably, you know, a bunch of college age kids, things like that. No, it was like in the hood area of this particular town. And it was thick with OGs, okay? Like it was a gangster party for sure. And, you know, I mean, it was cool at first, you know, talking to people and whatnot. But this dude, he breaks out all this cocaine. And the girl I was with was getting her fair share, believe you me. And everybody else, for the most part, too. But this one guy in particular, you know, for whatever reason, just the way that the chemicals work and whatnot, you know, some people just feel invincible when they're on cocaine. There's nothing can happen to them. And this guy, I don't remember exactly how it all played out, but he gets his pistol out. And he starts talking about how there was like an argument or something like that, or a debate about if a bullet will ricochet inside of a house. And so to prove his point, he starts firing off rounds in the living room into the ceiling. Okay? Now, there could have been somebody upstairs. I mean, who's to know? But anyway, this guy's willy-nilly firing a gun. So, you know, I know what's up. Okay, I'm sober. I've got a good head on my shoulders. You know, I'm thinking clearly. And I grabbed the girl that I came with. I was like, we have to go now. And it wasn't even an issue of safety in my mind. It was more of an issue of we're in a populated area. We're not out in the middle of the country somewhere, okay? We're in the middle of the city. And this guy's plugging holes into the living room ceiling. Neighbors are going to hear this. You know, it was loud. These shots were really loud. He's firing these shots off, and I knew it was just a matter of time before the cops show up. And I did not want to be there in that house with all those drugs and who knows what else, maybe illegal guns, I don't know. But I didn't want to be in the middle of it. I get the girl that I'm going with. I'm like, we're out of here. Now she's fighting me about it. She's like, oh, it's okay. Nothing's going to happen. I'm like, no, we got to go now. And so we get in my van. She's kind of salty about it. I drive down the street and I pull into the gas station. Okay, and she's kind of fighting me like, oh, like, I don't know why you gotta be, a wet blanket or whatever it is that she called me, And as we're sitting there, I gotta tell you, 5 or 6 cop cars go right in front of us, right down that street. And I knew exactly where they were going. I was so glad that I made the call to not let us, get caught up in that mess. That's the story about the girl at the house party, all right? We're gonna get number 4, let's go. Hey guys, wanted to take this quick time out just to remind you, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so now. Don't miss out on any of the quality content that we're putting out there that can potentially change your life. All right, hit that notification bell. You guys know the deal, thumbs up. Also, the last Saturday in October, we're gonna be doing our live Zoom event on building comfort and rapport. Why is that important? Man, look, if a girl cannot get comfortable with you, it is going to be significantly harder to make anything happen. Any kind of connection that you're trying to build. So that's why it's so important. That's why we're going to talk about it. We always have the link available. All you got to do is register, show up. It's 100% free. It's always a great time, man. So just wanted to give you that quick reminder, and we'll see you soon. Number 4, the moral of the stories. Okay, here's the deal. Now, what I didn't do back then that I do now, something that I've learned through many experiences, and I've got many, many more stories that I could run down to you, okay? It was just 3 that I kind of picked off the top of my head. If I think about it, I probably got about 10 more, like stories of something crazy happening, that I could rattle off. But the thing is, I wasn't screening for the things that were important to me. It was a thing of like, okay, I'm getting really good being able to attract women into my life. And so I feel like I owe it to myself when it's working out to see it through. As opposed to saying, okay, is this actually a healthy situation? Is this something I need to be involved with? And the answer should have been no. I should not have been involved. Now the girl with, we were at the park and everything. Now I'll give myself a pass because I didn't know any of that, okay, until the cops showed up. But by and large, it's a thing of I felt like I had to seize every single opportunity that presented itself, and that's a bad way of going about it. What you really need to do is know what's important to you, screen for those things, and have an abundant mindset. See, I know it's cliche, you hear that all the time, that you gotta have an abundant mindset, but it's absolutely 100% true. Now, the thing with having an abundant mindset is, it's not about what you have, it's about the opportunities that present themselves. So if I'd have shut down those opportunities because, hey, these girls are nuts, it would have opened up time to invite in other women that make more sense for my lifestyle, who I am, what it is that I want. Okay, so don't make that same mistake that I made. I'm giving you some cautionary tales here. So listen, speaking of knowing what you want and being able to screen for the things, for the types of women that you want to attract into your life, we did a video on that recently. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna link that up here. I want you to check that out. We go really deep on it, and I will see you there.